Okay, so I want you to picture a scenario. It's, let's say, a Tuesday afternoon. You're actually in a rhythm for once.
A rare
A
feeling.
very rare feeling. The coffee is working, your inbox is kind of manageable, you feel, productive. And then, ping, a notification.
And I think I know exactly where this is going.
It's an email from a colleague. And it's not just any email, it's confirmation that they have completely, utterly missed a deadline, one you agreed on 2 weeks ago. Or, okay, different scene, you get home, you're exhausted, you walk in, and you realize your partner forgot that one thing, that very specific thing they promised to handle today.
And just like that, the Tuesday rhythm is just gone.
It's dead,
Yeah.
buried. And in its place is that immediate heat rising in your chest.
Oh, yeah, it's visceral. It's a physical reaction.
Totally. And here's what happens next, at least for me. My brain immediately turns into a prosecutor. I start building a case file. I'm like cataloging the evidence. They're lazy. They don't respect my time. They're so disorganized. I guess I have to do everything myself. It feels so justified. I mean, honestly, it feels righteous.
It feels completely natural. That's the default human setting. But this is where we have to, hit the brakes.
Okay.
Because if we look at the stack of research for today's deep dive, that natural reaction, that righteous anger, is identified not as a strength, but as a massive strategic error.
That's a huge claim. But I will say the sources we have today are heavy hitters. We're looking at insights from ancient Stoic philosophy all the way to modern creative discipline from people like Stephen Pressfield and Robert Greene.
Right.
And right at the top is this quote from the Stoic philosopher Epictetus that I have to admit, when I first read it, I actually hated it.
It's a tough pill to swallow, for sure.
It's more than tough. It feels unfair. He says, "When you are offended by any man's fault, turn to yourself and check your failing, then the anger dies."
It sounds almost perverse to modern ears, doesn't it?
It sounds like victim blaming. I'm the one who got stiffed on the deadline, I'm doing the extra work, and I'm supposed to check my failing. Why is the burden on me? It feels like you're gaslighting yourself.
It was my first reaction, too. It sounds like he's just letting the incompetent person completely off the hook.
Yeah.
But we have to dig a little deeper.
Okay.
This isn't about moral blame. Epictetus isn't saying, that you caused the deadline to be missed. He's talking about physics. He's talking about energy economics.
Energy economics. Okay, explain that. Because right now, my energy is just pure rage.
Right. And the source material describes that rage in a very specific way as a spotlight pointed in the wrong direction.
A spotlight.
Yeah, picture it. When you're furious at your colleague, where is that light shining?
Well, it's shining directly on them,
Yeah.
on all their incompetence.
Exactly. It's illuminating their inadequacy. You're analyzing their character flaws, their poor time management, their bad choices. You are spending a tremendous amount of mental energy trying to figure them out.
And the return on investment for all that energy is what exactly?
It's zero. I mean, it's actually less than zero. The source uses this financial metaphor that I think just nails it. It says, focusing on things outside our control is like depositing coins into someone else's account.
Ooh.
You are literally withdrawing from your own energy reserves, your creativity, your patience, your focus, and just putting it somewhere you have absolutely no access to.
That is a painful realization. So when Epictetus says, check your failing, he's not saying it's your fault. He's saying your failing is that you are funding an account you don't even own.
Precisely. And that brings us to the core Stoic concept, the sphere of control. The sources are incredibly strict about this. They argue there are only 3 atomic units of progress that are actually truly under your control.
Just 3. In all of modern life.
Just 3. Attitude, effort,
And response.
and response. That is it. Everything else, other people's opinions, the economy, the weather, your partner's memory, all outside the sphere.
So if we take that back to the email, my colleague's lateness is a fact. It's outside my sphere. My anger, though.
Your anger is a response, and that is inside your sphere. So when Epictetus says, check your failing, he's suggesting you use that anger as a diagnostic tool for your sphere.
Okay, so instead of using anger as a weapon against them, I use it to interrogate myself.
Yes.
The notes have some really specific questions here, like, did I set unrealistic expectations? Did I fail to communicate clearly? And there's one that, it really stings. Am I avoiding my own work by focusing on theirs?
That's the killer, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It is so much easier to critique someone else's messy desk than to actually clean up your own. It's a classic distraction. It feels productive to be angry, but it's really just procrastination in disguise.
Okay, let me just play devil's advocate for a second, because I know what people are thinking. Does this mean we just accept incompetence? Like, oh, well, Dave missed the deadline again. I guess I'll just work on my attitude.
No, no, and that's a critical distinction. The takeaway is not to excuse bad behavior. Your colleague might genuinely be incompetent. You might need to fire Dave. But here's the thing. You can fire Dave without all the emotional turbulence. You can do it calmly. The goal is to redirect your energy to the only ladder you can actually climb your own actions.
I like that. The ladder you can actually climb. That's a good pivot to the second part of our stack with Stephen Pressfield, author of The War of Art. He has this mantra that fits perfectly with this idea of energy economics. Cover the canvas.
Cover the canvas. It's so simple, but it's profound when you apply it to this problem of control.
The source has this amazing visualization with Leonardo da Vinci. Can you walk us through that? It really changed how I see this.
Yeah, so imagine Da Vinci. He's standing in front of the wall where he's about to paint the Last Supper. It's just a blank plaster wall.
Okay.
Now, what if he spent his time just fuming about the conditions? Michelangelo isn't helping me, or the Vatican's timeline is totally unreasonable, or the lighting in here is just terrible.
If he did that, we wouldn't have the Last Supper. We'd just have a bitter Italian guy yelling at a damp wall.
Exactly. To cover the canvas means you just have to get the first draft done with the facts you have in front of you.
Right.
And the source makes this point. Peter's hair isn't right. James's hand has 4 fingers. Those are facts about the painting. In life, an unreliable collaborator is just another fact.
It's not a cosmic injustice.
No. It's just the condition of the canvas you have to paint on.
I love that. It strips all the emotion out of it. The unreliable collaborator is just texture. It's just part of the paint.
You paint with what you have. The question isn't, why are they like this? The question is, given that they are like this, what can I do to cover my canvas?
There's another analogy in here from golf, of all places. Now, I don't golf, but the logic seems pretty sound.
It's the axiom. It is more important to be decisive than to be correct.
See, that gives me anxiety just hearing it. More important to be decisive than correct. My inner perfectionist wants to be correct before I'm decisive.
We all do. We want the guarantee. But in golf, if you hesitate in the middle of your swing, you chunk it. The ball goes nowhere. And in life, hesitation kills momentum. If you're waiting for the perfect conditions, or for your anger to go away, or for someone else to change, you're just frozen. An imperfect action moves you forward. It covers the canvas.
You can fix James's 4-fingered hand later, but you can't fix a painting that doesn't exist.
That's the key. You can't steer a parked car.
So we're redirecting energy, we're covering our canvas, but how do we structure that effort? That's where we get into this architecture of progress from Robert Greene's The Daily Laws.
Right. Greene tackles a really common problem. Anxiety from ambition. We have these huge long-term visions. I want to build a company. I want to run a marathon. And the gap between here and there is just terrifying.
So we freeze. We look at the top of the mountain and just get vertigo.
Exactly. Greene suggests building a ladder of descending goals. You start with the big vision, but then you build rungs all the way down to this exact moment. Micro goals.
But, and this is a huge but, in the source material, you have to make sure the ladder is leaning against the right building.
That is the warning label. First, make sure the ladder is leaning against the right building, then start climbing.
So how do you know if it's the right building? Because I feel like a lot of people climb for 10 years only to realize they're on the completely wrong roof.
That is the tragedy of success without fulfillment, right? There's a great diagnostic for this from Richard Bach in our stack. He says, the more I want to get something done, the less I call it work.
The less I call it work. Does that mean it should always feel easy? Because covering the canvas is hard work.
It's not about easy. It's about the nature of the resistance. If the climb feels like just absolute drudgery, if every single rung requires you to grit your teeth and force yourself, you might be climbing a ladder leaning against someone else's idea of success.
Or a ladder that requires other people to push you up.
Yes. And that brings us right back to control. A valid rung on your ladder cannot depend on someone else's cooperation. This is so crucial. Make my boss nicer is not a rung. You can't step on it, it'll break. Update my resume, or schedule a meeting to discuss boundaries. Those are rungs. They can hold your weight.
This connects to that insight from Pia Nilsson and Lynn Marriott about self-knowledge. They say we have to know our own tendencies to exploit our strengths and buffer our weaknesses.
And that ties right back to the anger. If you know you have a tendency toward impatience, that's a weakness. You can buffer it. Build extra time into your schedule so that when Dave is late, because Dave is always late. It doesn't derail your whole day.
You're architecting your ladder based on who you actually are, not who you wish you were.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got the vertical metaphor of the ladder. We're climbing, but the sources also give us a horizontal tool, a navigation system.
Yes, the compass.
I really love this visual. The source includes 2 compass roses, so you can imagine a standard compass, north, south, east, west. But instead of directions, we have actions.
Let's do the first one. This is the physical emotional foundation compass. How you keep the machine running. North is move. East is diet. South is happy. And west is quiet.
Okay, let's break that down. North is move, change your physical state, easy enough. East is diet, watching what you consume, and the notes say this isn't just about food, right?
Exactly. It's your information diet, too. Are you
Okay.
consuming garbage content? Outrage. Then south is happy, cultivating mental habits of gratitude. And west is quiet, seeking silence.
Quiet is a cardinal direction. That feels so rare these days. I feel like most of us are sprinting east, just consuming noise and completely ignoring west.
It's essential. If you don't have silence, you can't hear the signal. You can't hear yourself think.
And then there's the second compass, which feels more about life and spirit. North is work. East is pray. South is rest. West is play.
Work, pray, rest, play. And pray here is defined really broadly as just connection to meaning. It could be meditation, nature, whatever.
But look at west again. Play. The source defines it as purposeless joy. When we're deep in the grind, climbing that ladder, play just feels like a waste of time. It feels irresponsible.
Or it's a reward we think we haven't earned yet. I'll play when I retire. But the compass puts it on equal footing with work. It's a cardinal direction. If you never go west, you're not navigating. You're just drifting toward burnout.
But here's the most interesting part of these 2 compasses. We've got 8 directions. Move, diet, happy, quiet, work, pray, rest, play. What's the thing that stands out to you?
Well, what stands out is what's not there, what's absent.
Exactly.
Look at the chart. Nowhere on that compass does it say fix Jim from accounting. It doesn't say worry about the election. It doesn't say force my partner to remember the milk.
That's the aha moment for me.
When we're angry, when we are obsessed with what other people are doing, we have literally wandered off our own map. We're trying to navigate by coordinates that don't exist on our compass.
So getting lost in life is really just trying to navigate by someone else's chart.
That's it. And the beauty of this is its immediacy. Let's say you're in that rage spiral. You can't control the other person, but you can look at your compass. You can immediately choose north, move EE, get up, walk around the block.
Or you can choose south on the other compass. Rest. Not quitting. Strategic restoration.
Right, and you don't need anyone's permission for that. Those directions are always available.
Okay, I have to play the skeptic again, because I know this focus on yourself message can sound a little insulated. If I just focus on my ladder, my compass, isn't that just selfish? What about injustice?
It's the most common objection to Stoicism, and it's a valid question. Is this just passivity? The source material addresses this head-on with a quote from Martin Luther King Jr., who was definitely not passive.
Right, the quote is, "The ultimate tragedy is not the oppression and cruelty by the bad people, but the silence over that by the good people."
He's calling for action, not silence.
So how do we square check your own failing with don't be silent about oppression? They feel contradictory.
The interpretation here is everything. Turning inward isn't about ignoring injustice. It's about ignoring impotent rage.
Impotent rage, define that.
Screaming at the television, treating into the void, stewing in resentment about a colleague, but never actually doing anything to fix the process.
Right.
That is not fighting injustice. That's just wasting the fuel you need for the actual fight.
Yeah.
By turning inward, you preserve your energy so it can be deployed for effective action.
So it's about building capacity. You
Yeah.
build the capacity to make a real difference by not leaking energy on things that don't matter.
Exactly. There's another great quote from Gandhi in this stack. An ounce of practice is worth more than a ton of preaching.
Mm-hmm.
Preaching is trying to control someone else's canvas. You should be better. Practice is covering your own canvas so effectively that you become a force of nature.
And the paradox is that's actually how you influence people.
Right. The source calls it the leadership paradox. It says, the more power one has, the more important character becomes. People don't change because we yell at them. They change because they get pulled into the gravity of someone who is consistent.
Gravity. I like that. If you're climbing your ladder, you're solid, you're navigating by your compass,
Yeah.
you create a gravitational pull.
You become a model of what's possible.
Mm-hmm.
And that is infinitely more persuasive than a lecture. Just think about the people who've influenced you the most.
Yeah.
Was it the person who nagged you or the person who just did the thing so well you wanted to be like them?
It's always the latter, the person covering their canvas.
Okay, so let's bring this all together. We started with the anger at the colleague.
We realized that anger is a spotlight pointed the wrong way. It's a withdrawal from our energy account that buys us nothing.
And we decided to cover the canvas, to accept the facts as they are, and just paint anyway. Choose decisiveness over correctness.
We built a ladder of micro goals, rungs we can actually reach, making sure it's leaning against our own building. And we use the compass to stay oriented. When we feel lost, we check those coordinate directions. Am I moving? Am I resting? Am I engaging in some purposeless play?
And by doing all of that, we actually become effective instead of just angry.
There's a rule mentioned in the conclusion of our source stack that I think is the perfect summary. Do a little a lot.
Do a little a lot. It's the law of compounding. Consistency is everything. You can't do a lot about other people's behavior today. You can't fix the whole company by 5 p.m.
But you can do a little about your own attitude, your own effort, and your own response.
And if you do that little bit every single day, over time, it creates a massive transformation. It changes everything.
So here's the final thought I want to leave you with. It goes back to that bank account metaphor. Every moment of your day is a transaction.
Anger at others, that's a withdrawal.
Worrying about things you can't control. Withdrawal.
Turning to yourself, that's a deposit.
Checking your feeling. Deposit.
Choosing to move or rest. Deposit.
We want you to end this deep dive with a positive balance. So here's the challenge for the rest of your day. Look at your ladder. Find one rung. Just one that you can grab right now.
Not tomorrow.
And make sure it's a rung that requires absolutely zero cooperation from anyone else.
Grab that rung and pull yourself up.
Thanks for diving in with us.
See you on the ladder.